Have you ever felt like life is rushing past you faster than you can catch your breath? Days blur into nights, and before you know it, months vanish like grains of sand slipping through your fingers. We move, we act, we plan, yet so often we find ourselves lost, wandering without direction. There's a subtle truth that most of us overlook. Clarity does not come from speed. Insight does not arise from constant motion. And wisdom, real wisdom, is rarely born from frantic activity. Only those who pause can see the path clearly. Pause. Just for a moment, let yourself stop. Feel the weight of the world, notice the rhythm of your own breath, and listen. Not to the noise outside, but to the silence within. In Buddhism, this is not merely a suggestion, it is a practice. Mindfulness, meditation, and quiet reflection are doors to understanding the true nature of life. When the mind slows, when the endless chatter in your head takes a backseat, the veil lifts. What was once hidden in confusion begins to appear in sharp, undeniable clarity. Imagine a traveler walking through a dense forest. The path is shrouded in mist, branches scratching at his shoulders, roots threatening to trip him with every step. If he rushes forward, he will stumble, perhaps even get lost entirely. But if he pauses, takes a breath, and looks carefully, he begins to see the faint traces of a trail, the subtle hints of the direction he should take. Life is much the same. The pause is the light that reveals the path. Yet in our modern world, pausing feels unnatural. We are trained to fill every moment with activity, scrolling, texting, multitasking. Silence feels like emptiness, stillness like wasted time. But consider this. What if the pause is not a void, but a doorway? A doorway to understanding, to peace, to insight. The Buddha taught that the mind is restless by nature, darting from desire to desire, clinging to what is fleeting. Only by cultivating stillness can we begin to see the world as it truly is. Pausing is not passivity. It is deliberate, conscious attention. It is choosing to step out of the river's current for a moment, to observe the flow, to understand its source, its direction, and its destination. Take a moment now. Close your eyes if you can. Feel your body seated, grounded. Notice the sensations, the pressure of your feet on the floor, the gentle rise and fall of your chest with each breath. Thoughts may come, distractions will appear, but let them pass without chasing them. This is the essence of the pause, not to suppress, not to judge, but to witness. In this quiet observation, we begin to recognize patterns that previously escaped us. We see our habits, our attachments, the small illusions that guide our choices unconsciously. And suddenly, decisions become clearer, relationships more transparent, and the path we've been searching for, elusive in the chaos, emerges in focus. The pause also teaches patience. It reminds us that life unfolds in its own rhythm, not ours. We are not meant to rush every step, to grasp every fleeting opportunity. Sometimes the most profound insights come when we simply let life happen, when we step aside and watch without interference. And here lies the secret. The pause is not a reward for the busy or the successful. It is available to everyone at any moment, no matter how chaotic the world may feel. It asks only that we give ourselves permission to stop, even for a breath, and observe. So if you feel lost, if the noise of life is deafening, remember this: clarity is waiting. The path is always there, but it reveals itself only to those who pause. The forest of life may be dense, the mist may obscure your way, yet with each mindful pause, the trail becomes visible, step by step. Take another breath, feel it. Let the simplicity of this moment wash over you. In the pause, there is clarity. In clarity, there is direction. And from this direction, the journey forward begins, not hurried, not frantic, but deliberate, conscious, and deeply awake. As we step forward from this stillness, we begin to understand the hidden traps of busyness, the illusions we chase, and the way life quietly teaches us lessons we can only perceive when we slow down. In the next moments, we will explore why the world's constant noise blinds us, and how learning to pause can be our greatest act of insight. We live in a world that glorifies movement, productivity, and speed. From the moment we wake, we are swept into a river of endless tasks, notifications, and obligations. We tell ourselves that busyness equals purpose, that constant action is the mark of a meaningful life. But what if this belief is nothing more than an illusion? Consider the paradox. We are more connected than ever, yet we feel increasingly disconnected. We achieve, acquire, and accomplish, yet satisfaction slips through our fingers like water. This is the subtle trap of busyness. It convinces us that motion is progress, when in reality, it often keeps us blind to what truly matters. Imagine a man running through a crowded city street, dodging cars, weaving past strangers, glancing at his phone every few seconds. He feels important, urgent, necessary. Yet, despite all this motion, he misses the beauty of the sunrise breaking over the skyline. He doesn't notice the smile of a stranger, the scent of flowers in a small park, or even the rhythm of his own breath. He is moving, but he is not living. In Buddhist teachings, this is a familiar pattern. The mind, like the body, craves action and distraction, clinging to desires and chasing illusions. It fears stillness because stillness reveals the truth, that so much of what we chase is empty. Our attachments, ambitions, and preoccupations, while they seem urgent, are often clouds that obscure the clear path ahead. Busyness has become a badge of honor in modern society. "I'm so busy," we say with pride, as if the weight of our obligations validates our existence. But beneath the surface, busyness can be a veil, a way to avoid facing ourselves. If we never pause, we never ask, am I heading in the right direction? Am I living authentically? Do I even know what I truly want? Consider the story of a young executive chasing promotion after promotion. His days are filled with meetings, emails, deadlines, yet he feels an emptiness he cannot explain. One evening, exhausted, he sits by a window, and for the first time in years, he simply looks outside. The city hums below, distant yet alive. In that pause, a realization dawns. He has been busy, yes, but busy with things that do not feed his soul. This is the irony of busyness. It convinces us that action is progress, yet it often diverts us from the very path we seek. When life is lived in a constant rush, the mind becomes cluttered, distracted, and anxious. We confuse quantity with quality, speed with wisdom, and activity with fulfillment. The antidote is simple, though not easy: awareness. Conscious pausing allows us to step back from the current, to observe not just our tasks, but ourselves. Mindful reflection shines a light on where we have been, where we are, and where we truly wish to go. It is in these quiet moments that we discover a profound truth. The path forward is not in doing more, but in seeing more clearly. Pausing does not mean doing nothing. It means seeing everything with clarity before we act. The illusions of busyness dissolve, and what remains is essential, meaningful, aligned with our deepest values. Now, take a moment and reflect. How often do you move through your day without truly noticing it? How often do you act without seeing why you act? The world's rhythm can be intoxicating, seductive even, pulling us into patterns that feel urgent but are ultimately hollow. Recognizing this is the first step toward freedom. And so, the journey continues, not by racing forward blindly, but by understanding the forces that blind us. By seeing busyness for what it truly is, we prepare ourselves to act with intention, to walk a path guided by awareness rather than distraction. In this light, every pause becomes an act of liberation. Every breath, a quiet rebellion against the chaos of unchecked motion. The more we learn to step back, to observe, to pause, the more the path unfolds naturally, without force, without strain. From here, we begin to understand why silence itself speaks volumes. In the next moments, we will explore how the world's noise, the endless chatter and distraction, can drown out our inner wisdom, and how embracing stillness opens doors we never knew existed. Have you ever noticed how rare true silence has become in our lives? Even for a few minutes, the mind struggles to settle, pulled by notifications, thoughts, and endless responsibilities. Yet within silence lies a voice more profound than any external noise, the voice of clarity, of wisdom, of deep understanding. Silence is not emptiness. It is not absence. It is presence. It is the canvas upon which the mind begins to paint the reality it often ignores. In those moments of stillness, the truth of our inner world, previously drowned out by distraction, begins to reveal itself. Imagine a vast lake at dawn. The surface is perfectly still, reflecting the sky, the trees, the mountains. Now imagine a strong wind stirring the water. The reflection is distorted, fragmented, almost unrecognizable. Life without silence is like that storm-tossed lake. Thoughts, worries, and busyness agitate the mind, preventing us from seeing our true reflection. But when we pause, when the wind settles, the water mirrors reality with clarity. In Buddhist practice, silence is sacred. The Buddha often retreated into the forest, sitting in stillness, observing the mind, observing life. It is in this silence that insight arises, free from the distortions of emotion, desire, and fear. In silence, we confront what we often avoid, the impermanence of life, the nature of suffering, and the illusions we hold onto. Consider the story of a young monk who spent years seeking answers in texts and teachings. He traveled far, asked questions, engaged in endless debate, yet the wisdom he sought eluded him. One day he sat quietly beneath a tree, saying nothing, expecting nothing. In that stillness, clarity dawned. The truth he had chased for years was not found in words, but in silence. Silence teaches patience. It teaches us to observe before reacting, to listen before speaking, to feel before judging. In a noisy world, we have forgotten how to truly listen, not just to others, but to ourselves. Every thought that arises in silence is an opportunity to understand its origin, its truth, and its purpose. And yet, embracing silence is challenging. We fear what we might discover if we truly stop. Uncomfortable feelings, unresolved conflicts, deep desires all surface when the mind is quiet. But it is precisely this confrontation that leads to growth. The mind, when allowed to rest, begins to untangle its knots, revealing the clarity that has always been present beneath the chaos. Think of silence as a teacher. It does not lecture or scold. It simply waits, offering its guidance to those willing to listen. Every pause, every quiet breath is a lesson in mindfulness, a reminder that clarity is not found in action alone, but in observation. In our daily lives, silence can be found in small moments. The first few minutes after waking, the brief pause between tasks, the quiet breath before a response. These moments, though fleeting, are doors to insight. Each one reminds us that the world's noise, however persistent, does not define the truth we seek. And so, as we begin to recognize the power of silence, we also discover its subtlety. Silence does not demand our attention, it invites it. It does not overwhelm, it clarifies. And in this gentle presence, we begin to see the patterns of our mind, the paths we have wandered, and the choices we have made. Through silence, we uncover a profound truth. The answers we seek are rarely outside, they are within, waiting patiently, quietly until we are ready to see them. And with this understanding, the next step becomes clear. The pause leads to reflection. The reflection leads to insight, and insight lights the path ahead. As we embrace the stillness, we prepare ourselves to look inward, to see not just the surface of life, but its depth. In the moments ahead, we will explore how the act of turning inward, of observing the mind, opens doors to understanding that no amount of noise or motion could ever reveal. We often look outside ourselves for answers, for direction, for meaning. We search in careers, relationships, achievements, even in the approval of others. Yet the most profound path, the one that leads to true clarity, has always been within. When we pause and embrace silence, we are invited to turn inward, to look beneath the surface of our daily routines, beneath the noise and distraction, to the core of our own mind. Here, in the quiet depths, the path reveals itself, not as a map with clear signs, but as subtle insight, gentle nudges, and moments of understanding that guide our every step. Imagine a traveler lost in a dense forest. Every turn seems uncertain, every path tangled and confusing. But instead of forcing forward, the traveler stops, closes their eyes, listens. Slowly, they sense the wind, the sound of water, the rhythm of the forest itself. From this stillness comes awareness. The right path does not appear magically. It is felt, intuited, known from within. Life works much the same way. In Buddhism, this turning inward is called introspection. It is a deliberate act of observing the mind, our thoughts, emotions, and habits. It is the process of seeing the seeds of attachment, desire, and fear that shape our choices. Without this awareness, we wander aimlessly, guided by impulses rather than understanding. With it, every action, every decision becomes conscious, purposeful, aligned with truth. Consider the story of a woman who spent years chasing approval, success, and recognition. She moved from one goal to the next, never pausing to reflect on why she pursued them. One evening, exhausted and frustrated, she sat quietly in her room, observing her thoughts for the first time. She noticed patterns, habits of fear, habits of clinging, moments where she acted out of obligation rather than desire. In that simple act of observation, the path within began to emerge. She realized that fulfillment had always been inside her grasp, waiting for her attention, waiting for her pause. The path within is not always comfortable. Turning inward can reveal the truths we avoid, the grudges we hold, the anxieties we nurture, the illusions we maintain about ourselves. Yet it is precisely this confrontation that allows transformation. Just as a sculptor chisels away stone to reveal the statue hidden within, the pause allows us to carve away distraction and delusion, revealing clarity and insight. Every thought we observe, every emotion we witness without judgment, strengthens our ability to see the truth clearly. The mind, once clouded by habit and noise, begins to reflect reality with greater precision. We begin to recognize patterns in our behavior, understand the consequences of our choices, and discern which paths lead to suffering and which lead to growth. This inner journey is not solitary in the negative sense. It is a communion with your own mind, a conversation with your own soul. In Buddhism, this is the foundation of wisdom, self-awareness that allows compassion, understanding, and insight to flourish. By seeing within, we also begin to see the world more clearly, its impermanence, its interconnectedness, and its subtle beauty. Pause for a moment now. Close your eyes if you can. Feel your heartbeat, the rise and fall of your chest. Observe your thoughts, not with judgment, but with curiosity. Notice the impulses, the patterns, the little stories your mind tells. Each observation is a step forward, each breath a guidepost. The path within is illuminated not by force but by attention. And here lies the power of this insight. The more we understand ourselves, the more naturally we navigate life. Decisions become less reactive and more intentional. Relationships become richer, grounded in empathy and clarity. Challenges, once overwhelming, are met with wisdom and calm. The path within is always accessible. It is not found in the noise of achievement or the clamor of the external world. It is found in the stillness, in the careful observation of one's own mind, in the courage to face what is true and unchangeable. As this awareness deepens, we prepare to harness it in daily life, not as a distant ideal but as a living practice. With each step forward, guided by insight, we see the world and ourselves with clarity. And this clarity brings us to the next understanding. How pausing allows us to make choices that are not just reactive, but profoundly wise. Every day we make countless decisions. Some are small: what to eat, what to wear, which route to take. Others carry weight: career choices, relationships, life-altering commitments. And yet so often these decisions are made on autopilot, dictated by habit, impulse, or the pressure of the world around us. Mindful decision-making transforms this process. It turns choice into an act of clarity, an expression of awareness, rather than a reaction to circumstance. When we pause, observe, and reflect, even for a few moments, we open the door to decisions that are intentional, aligned, and wise. Imagine a captain navigating a ship through stormy seas. The waves crash and the wind howls, but the captain does not act recklessly. She pauses, assesses, reads the currents, considers the strengths and limits of her crew. Only then does she steer the vessel with purpose. Life's challenges are no different. Mindless action may propel us forward, but it rarely leads to fulfillment. Pause, reflect, choose. This is how we steer our own lives. Buddhism teaches that every action carries consequences. Karma is not punishment but clarity, the natural result of our choices. When decisions are made without awareness, we often repeat patterns that bring suffering. When made mindfully, each choice becomes a step toward freedom, compassion, and wisdom. Consider the story of a man facing a major career crossroads. He felt pressured to chase a high-paying job, believing success meant prestige. But instead of rushing, he paused. He reflected on his values, his passions, and the life he truly wanted. In the silence of that reflection, he realized that fulfillment was not in salary, but in meaningful work. His decision, guided by mindfulness, altered the course of his life. Not instantly, but profoundly. Mindful decisions are not perfect. They do not guarantee success or shield us from mistakes, but they root us in awareness, ensuring that we act from clarity rather than confusion, from wisdom rather than habit. Even in failure, a mindfully chosen path teaches more than a mindlessly pursued one. The practice of pausing before action is deceptively simple. It could be as brief as a single breath before responding to a text, a moment of reflection before a meeting, or a silent check-in before a conversation. These pauses create a space in which the mind can assess, weigh, and respond rather than react. They remind us that every choice matters, every moment carries potential, and every action shapes our reality. Mindful decision-making also cultivates patience. In a world that praises immediacy, we learn the value of timing, of waiting until insight arises. Just as a farmer waits for the soil to yield its crop, we must allow our understanding to ripen before acting. Decisions made in haste often lead to regret. Decisions made with presence, even small ones, ripple through life with clarity and integrity. There is also a profound connection between mindful decisions and compassion. When we act with awareness, we consider the impact of our choices, not only on ourselves but on others. We see how our actions touch lives, shape experiences, and contribute to the world around us. Mindfulness, then, becomes not only a tool for personal clarity, but a way to cultivate harmony and understanding in our interactions. Take a moment now. Think of a choice you will make today, a simple one or a complex one. Before you act, breathe, reflect. Consider the motives, the potential outcomes, and the essence of what matters most. This single moment of mindfulness transforms an ordinary decision into an act of conscious living. In the end, the power of mindful decisions lies in presence. It is not about controlling every outcome or avoiding every mistake. It is about stepping into life with awareness, navigating with insight, and acting with intention. Each decision becomes a compass, guiding us along the path that clarity has revealed within us. And as we embrace the power of mindful choices, we naturally turn to the world around us with a new lens. We begin to see the patterns, the rhythms, and the subtle lessons in every encounter, every challenge, and every moment of stillness. The path within, once illuminated by the pause, now extends outward, guiding action with wisdom. As this understanding deepens, we find ourselves ready to observe life itself, not as a series of reactions, but as a flowing, interconnected whole. And from here, we begin to notice the lessons that nature offers, the quiet guidance that the world itself provides when we are willing to pause and see. If we take a moment to truly observe, nature becomes one of our greatest teachers. Every leaf, every river, every sunrise carries wisdom, patiently waiting for us to notice. Yet in our rush, we often miss these subtle lessons, blind to the quiet guidance that surrounds us. Consider a tree in a forest. Its roots dig deep into the soil, anchoring it firmly while its branches reach for the sky. It does not hurry. It does not compete. Each season arrives, and it responds with grace, shedding leaves in autumn, blossoming in spring. The tree teaches patience, resilience, and the art of timing. Growth is not forced. It unfolds naturally in rhythm with life. Rivers offer another lesson. They carve valleys, nourish forests, and sustain life, yet they flow gently, yielding to obstacles without struggle. When a rock appears in its path, the river does not resist violently. It adjusts, finding a way around, over, or through. In this simple act of flowing, nature teaches us flexibility and adaptation, essential qualities for anyone seeking clarity on their path. Even the seasons carry messages. Winter reminds us of rest, reflection, and preparation. Spring invites renewal and growth. Summer encourages energy and exploration. Autumn calls for release and letting go. Nature demonstrates that every phase, every moment, has its purpose and timing. Life unfolds in cycles, and wisdom lies in aligning ourselves with these rhythms rather than resisting them. Buddhist philosophy echoes these lessons. The principle of impermanence, or anicca, reminds us that all things change. Just as leaves fall, rivers flow, and seasons shift, our experiences, emotions, and challenges are transient. Recognizing this truth allows us to navigate life with greater ease, understanding that nothing is permanent and everything is interconnected. Imagine a person walking through a quiet forest, the morning mist rising around them. They pause, feeling the damp earth beneath their feet, listening to the distant song of birds. In that stillness, insights arise not from thought but from observation. The world itself speaks, teaching patience, acceptance, and the beauty of being present. Nature also teaches the power of subtlety. Small actions accumulate over time. A single drop of water can carve stone. A gentle breeze can sway the mightiest tree. So too in life, small, mindful actions, repeated consistently, create profound transformation. The path is rarely revealed through grand gestures alone. It emerges in quiet persistence, in attention to the present moment. Consider the lotus flower, rooted in mud yet rising above the water to bloom. It does not rush. It simply grows toward the light. Its beauty is a reminder that clarity, wisdom, and purity emerge not from forcing, but from aligning with the natural course of growth. Even in difficult conditions, the right conditions and patience allow the path to reveal itself. Nature also reflects the principle of interdependence, or paticca. Every element, the soil, water, sunlight, wind, works together to sustain life. Nothing exists in isolation. In pausing and observing this interconnectedness, we begin to understand our own lives. Our choices, actions, and thoughts ripple outward, touching countless others. Awareness of this connection guides our decisions, encouraging compassion, care, and responsibility. So the next time you feel rushed, overwhelmed, or lost, look to nature. Sit beside a stream, watch a tree, or simply observe the sky. Let its lessons sink in. Patience, resilience, adaptation, subtlety, and interconnectedness. These are not abstract ideas but living truths revealed in the world around us. By observing nature, we learn to align ourselves with life's rhythms. We begin to see that clarity does not come from forcing outcomes, but from flowing with awareness. We discover that the pause, embraced fully, allows us to witness patterns, understand cycles, and respond with wisdom. And in this understanding, we are ready to embark on the most personal journey yet, the journey inward. For the lessons nature teaches externally are reflections of what awaits within, if only we have the courage to look. The most profound journey we can ever take is not through distant lands or unfamiliar cities. It is the journey inward, into the depths of our own mind, our own heart, our own consciousness. This is the journey that reveals who we truly are, beyond the masks we wear, beyond the noise of the world, beyond the endless rush of daily life. To embark on the inner journey, we must first pause. We must let go of the endless distractions, the urgent demands, the persistent chatter that keeps us from seeing clearly. Only then does the path appear, faint at first, like a narrow trail winding through a dense forest. Each step is deliberate, each moment filled with awareness. In Buddhism, this inward journey is central to understanding ourselves and the nature of existence. Meditation, reflection, and mindfulness are the tools that guide us along this path. By observing our thoughts and emotions without judgment, we begin to uncover the patterns that shape our lives, attachments, aversions, fears, and desires. Imagine a person seated quietly, eyes closed, breathing gently. Thoughts arise, plans, regrets, worries, but instead of chasing them, the person observes them as a curious witness. Slowly, the mind begins to untangle. The knots of confusion loosen. Patterns of suffering reveal themselves, not to condemn, but to illuminate. Insight grows in the space created by attention and stillness. Consider the story of a man burdened by resentment and anxiety. He had spent years reacting to circumstances, blaming others, and chasing fleeting pleasures. One day he began the simple practice of sitting quietly, observing his mind. At first, it was uncomfortable. Memories, regrets, and fears surfaced. But with patience, he learned to watch without being pulled in, to see without judgment. Over time, he discovered a freedom he had never known, the ability to respond with clarity, compassion, and presence. The inner journey is not linear. There is no final destination in the conventional sense. Instead, it is a continuous process of discovery, reflection, and awakening. Each moment of mindfulness, each pause, each breath, is a step further into understanding ourselves and our connection to the world. This journey also reveals the impermanence of thoughts and emotions. Like clouds drifting across the sky, they come and go. By observing without attachment, we learn that we are not our thoughts, nor our emotions, nor our circumstances. We are the awareness in which all of these arise and pass away. This realization is liberating. It allows us to act with clarity rather than react impulsively. The inner journey teaches patience and compassion. As we witness our own struggles, we naturally develop empathy for the struggles of others. We recognize that every being faces challenges, that every heart carries pain, and that understanding begins with awareness. By cultivating insight within ourselves, we are better equipped to extend understanding outward. Every pause, every moment of reflection is a small pilgrimage. We discover hidden strengths, unrecognized wisdom, and the gentle power of simply being present. The inner journey is a return to our own center, a reconnection with the clarity that has always existed beneath the layers of distraction and confusion. And so, the path continues, inward and outward at once. By exploring the depths of our mind, we illuminate the world around us. By seeing within, we prepare to face challenges with insight. And through this understanding, we are ready to apply it in practical life, to act not from habit or impulse, but from mindful awareness, to navigate obstacles with calm, and to transform even difficulty into opportunity. As we embrace the inner journey, we begin to see how stillness and reflection shape our actions. We are ready to take these insights and understand how pausing can help us overcome life's obstacles, not by avoiding them, but by meeting them with clarity and wisdom. Life has a way of testing us. Challenges appear without warning, conflicts, losses, uncertainties, fears. Our instinct is often to react, to resist, to force a solution. But the wisdom of stillness teaches us that strength does not always come from action. Sometimes it comes from pausing, observing, and allowing clarity to arise. Consider a storm-tossed ocean. Waves crash with relentless force. To resist blindly would exhaust any sailor. But by observing the rhythm of the sea, reading its currents, and adjusting patiently, the sailor navigates safely. Life's obstacles are no different. Stillness allows us to see patterns, understand causes, and respond with insight rather than impulsive reaction. Buddhist practice emphasizes this principle. When confronted with difficulty, the mind often reacts with fear, anger, or attachment. By cultivating mindfulness and presence, we create a space between stimulus and response. In this space lies freedom, the freedom to choose actions that reflect wisdom, not habit or emotion. Imagine a young woman facing a personal crisis, a relationship in turmoil, responsibilities piling up, and anxiety consuming her. She feels the instinct to act immediately, to fix everything at once. Instead, she sits quietly, breathes, and observes. In that pause, her mind clears. She sees what can be addressed, what must be let go, and how to respond with compassion. The storm has not vanished, but her approach is transformed. Stillness also reveals hidden strengths. In the quiet, we notice resilience, creativity, and patience that are often masked by frantic activity. Challenges become teachers, guiding us toward growth rather than obstacles to defeat us. Every difficulty, when met with presence, becomes an opportunity to deepen understanding and cultivate inner peace. The inner obstacles we face, fear, doubt, anger, attachment, are often the most formidable, yet they too can be approached with stillness. By observing these mental and emotional currents without judgment, we begin to understand their origin, their impermanence, and their influence. Awareness itself diminishes their power, allowing us to act with clarity rather than compulsion. Consider the metaphor of a raging river blocked by a fallen tree. Panic would lead us to fight the current blindly, but by stepping back, assessing the situation, and moving carefully, we find a path around, through, or even over the obstacle. This is the essence of stillness in action, not passivity but conscious, deliberate movement guided by insight. Stillness also fosters patience, a recognition that not all challenges are resolved instantly. Some obstacles require time, reflection, and repeated effort. By resisting the urge to rush, we align ourselves with the natural flow of life, understanding that progress often occurs in subtle increments rather than dramatic leaps. Moreover, stillness strengthens compassion. When we pause, we see our own struggles clearly and we recognize the struggles in others. Our responses become less reactive and more empathetic. The challenges we face are shared by all beings in one form or another, and by approaching them with mindful presence, we contribute not only to our own growth but to the harmony of the world around us. Take a moment now. Reflect on a challenge you face. Notice the impulse to react, the tension, the fear. Pause, breathe, observe. In that space, insight arises. Options become clear. Energy that might have been wasted on resistance is now available for conscious, deliberate action. The obstacle has not disappeared, but your approach has transformed. In embracing stillness, we discover that obstacles are not walls to stop us. They are mirrors, reflecting where our attention, awareness, and understanding are needed most. And from this understanding, we prepare to integrate these practices into daily life, taking mindful presence beyond moments of challenge and into every step, every interaction, every choice. The lessons we've explored, the pause, silence, reflection, mindful decisions, and stillness, are not just concepts to admire from afar. They are practices to bring into daily life, shaping every moment, every choice, and every interaction. The challenge is not learning these truths, it's living them. Integration begins with awareness. Start small. Notice the moments when your mind races, when reactions are automatic, or when the world feels overwhelming. These are the openings for pause. Even a breath, a heartbeat, a single step taken with intention can reconnect you to the present. Consider the morning routine. How often do we rush through brushing our teeth, making coffee, or preparing for the day? By intentionally slowing down, by noticing each action, we transform a mundane routine into an act of mindfulness. The simple becomes profound. Each breath becomes a thread connecting us to clarity. Walking is another powerful opportunity. Move slowly, feel the ground beneath your feet, notice the rhythm of your steps. Observe your surroundings, the colors, textures, sounds, and scents. This simple practice roots you in the present, reminding you that life is not just about reaching a destination, but about fully inhabiting each moment along the way. In conversations, pauses are equally transformative. Before responding, listen fully. Observe the tone, the emotions, the unspoken words. Respond from awareness, not impulse. This creates dialogue rooted in understanding, not reaction, deepening connection and fostering empathy. Even in work or creative endeavors, integrating pauses can elevate clarity and effectiveness. Step back before making decisions, before sending that email, before reacting to a challenge. Allow space for reflection. In that quiet interval, insight arises, and actions become deliberate rather than reactive. Mindfulness in daily life is not about perfection. It is about gentle attention, repeated moment by moment. A single pause may seem insignificant, yet each mindful breath accumulates into a profound shift in perception. Over time, life itself becomes a practice, a continuous flow of awareness, reflection, and clarity. Stories of transformation often begin in these small moments. A mother, overwhelmed by household duties, takes a single breath before responding to her child. A teacher, frustrated with a difficult student, pauses to listen deeply. An executive, faced with a critical decision, steps back to observe before acting. Each of these pauses, though brief, alters outcomes, reduces stress, and nurtures clarity. Nature reminds us of the power of integration. Just as a river flows continuously, touching every stone and plant along its path, mindfulness can flow through our daily lives. Pauses are not interruptions. They are the current itself, connecting moments with intention, clarity, and purpose. The key is consistency. Start with one intentional pause each day, then gradually expand. Make it part of your routine. Let it ripple into larger decisions, interactions, and choices. With time, the pause becomes second nature, a refuge of clarity in the midst of chaos. And remember, integrating pauses is not about withdrawing from life. It is about fully inhabiting it. By embracing stillness within motion, reflection within action, we transform every moment into an opportunity for insight, compassion, and understanding. Life becomes less about rushing, more about presence, less about distraction, more about awareness, less about reaction, more about choice. As we prepare to conclude this journey, we recognize that the pause is not an endpoint, it is a doorway that leads to clarity, understanding, and freedom. The lessons we've discovered when practiced daily illuminate the path ahead. And from here, we arrive at the final chapter, where all these insights converge, revealing the true power and beauty of a life lived with mindful presence. And now, after this journey through stillness, silence, and mindful awareness, we arrive at a simple truth. Clarity has always been within reach. The path has never truly been lost. It has simply been obscured by noise, distraction, and haste. By pausing, reflecting, and turning inward, we reveal what was always there, waiting patiently for our attention. The pause is not just a practice. It is a gift we give ourselves in every breath, every step, every moment of mindful presence. It is a space where insight arises, where wisdom deepens, where compassion flourishes. And it is available to us at any time, in any circumstance, no matter how chaotic life may feel. As we embrace this understanding, life begins to shift. Decisions are no longer automatic. They are conscious, deliberate, aligned with our values and our understanding. Challenges no longer overwhelm. They become teachers, guiding us to patience, resilience, and clarity. Moments of stillness become refuges, illuminating the path ahead, revealing the subtle beauty in the ordinary and uncovering the extraordinary within the mundane. Consider the forest, the river, the lotus flower. The world around us is alive with lessons for those who pause to see. Nature, like our own mind, moves in rhythms of change and growth, teaching us patience, adaptability, and balance. Each pause we take is a step into harmony, a step into alignment with the flow of life itself. The power of the pause extends beyond the self. As our awareness deepens, compassion naturally follows. By understanding our own mind, we become more attuned to the struggles and joys of others. Our actions, our words, our presence become infused with clarity, empathy, and understanding. The pause transforms not only our lives, but the lives of those around us. And so, the journey comes full circle, from recognizing the illusion of busyness, to embracing silence, to seeing the path within, to making mindful choices, to learning from nature, to navigating obstacles with stillness, and finally to integrating pauses into daily life. We discover that the path has always been here. It was never lost, only waiting for our attention. Take a moment now. Breathe deeply. Feel the weight of your body grounded, the rise and fall of your chest, the rhythm of your heart. Notice the clarity that comes from this simple act of presence. Let it remind you that every step forward is guided by awareness, every choice is illuminated by reflection, and every moment of stillness opens a doorway to insight. The clear path awaits, not as a distant goal, but as a living reality here and now. It is the journey of mindfulness, the practice of presence, the art of pausing. It is the awakening to the truth that clarity, wisdom, and peace are not found somewhere else. They are found within us, in the spaces we create when we pause, breathe, and see. As you step forward from this moment, carry the pause with you. Let it shape your days, your decisions, your interactions. Let it guide you through challenges, illuminate your path, and deepen your connection with life itself. The journey does not end here. It continues with every breath, every mindful step, and every moment of presence. The path is clear. The way is simple. All that is required is the courage to pause, to observe, and to move with clarity. And in doing so, we find freedom, understanding, and the quiet joy of living fully awake. If this journey through pause, stillness, and mindful presence resonated with you, consider joining our community here at Zen Buddhism Wisdom. Subscribe to the channel so you can continue exploring the teachings of the Buddha, discovering clarity within, and embracing each moment with awareness. And if you feel inspired, leave a comment or share this video with someone who might benefit from a moment of calm reflection today. Together, let us walk the path of mindfulness, one pause at a time,